This is Al Jazeera. There have been dramatic scenes in Thailand in the past 15 minutes or so. Riot police and water cannon have been used to break through a barricade set up by protesters in the centre of Bangkok. Thousands of anti-government protesters have been defying a government ban on gatherings for a second night in a row. They've been calling for the Prime Minister's resignation and for reforms to the monarchy. But as of now, Prayut Chan-o-cha, the Prime Minister, is refusing to stand down. Let's get more now on that story and join our correspondent Scott Heidler. He's live for us in Bangkok. Scott, what's been happening where you are?
Yeah, Hala, well, that confrontation took place right there. I'd say about 50 meters from it. You can see kind of the edge of that pillar. That is a walkway that goes up to the SkyTrain here in Bangkok. And you can see that blue truck. That is a supply truck for one of those, for 3 of those water cannon vehicles. And this is where that front line was. It is now quiet. What we're hearing, what we're seeing is a lot of crowd control police here. This has been kind of their triage area because some of the water is dyed blue and has chemicals. It's laden with chemicals, burning agents. So a lot of those police officers have come back here and have been getting treatment for that. The protesters have retreated back to where they were when they were, quite honestly, it was almost a taunt, I have to tell you, because what had happened is initially the protesters said they were going to gather about a half of a kilometer that way, but they sprouted up, same time, about a half of a kilometer this way. So what had happened is the police, they have obviously stationed over there because that's where they thought the protest was going to be. About an hour into the protest, they marched down this avenue, very high-end shopping district here in central Bangkok. They marched down here on these loudspeakers and said, disperse, disperse, disperse. They had rows and rows of these crowd control police with shields, with helmets, taunting them. And then the protesters built a makeshift front line, if you will, with barricades that were used by the police before. And then we saw a kind of a pushback, either side, either side. Right now, both sides have retreated back almost to their beginning positions. Most of the protesters have gone back down that direction by that major intersection. And again, the police here, most of those who are here for getting triage for the burning agent, they're back over there and they're regrouping right now. And obviously they're telling them to disperse, as they have been over the last hour. And then we've seen this confrontation, as you said, Hala. It's only been about maybe the last 20, 15 minutes.
Now, of course, Scott, the backdrop to all of this, of course, is that these kind of protests have now been banned due to this emergency decree. The Prime Minister, who the protesters are wanting to go, he's still in power. What's he had to say about all of this?
Yeah, he came down. You know, this emergency decree was passed early Thursday morning, 4 a.m. That is because there was another protest where tens of thousands of anti-government protesters marched from Democracy Monument to Government House, where the Prime Minister's office is. And they pulled up in front of his office, were there for several hours. Then a few hundred hardcore protesters spent the night, and then this decree came out at 4 a.m. There were protest leaders on site, on makeshift stage, telling the protesters to leave peacefully, and they did. So they cleared that area. We were there within an hour after that decree, and they were even washing the streets. Then came the next night, Thursday night, and that's where we had that big protest down here. Again, peaceful. They closed down everything at about 10 p.m. They left peacefully, no problems. The Prime Minister came out because there was an emergency cabinet meeting today, Friday, where this emergency decree was officially discussed. And he came out of that meeting, held a press conference, and said, pretty much drew the hard line. Those who come out, defy this order that says no more than 5 people can gather at a time, said those who defy this will be arrested. Because, he said, there's chaos in the country, and the protesters are causing chaos in the country, and that it puts the national security at risk. So that is why I believe we've seen this kind of escalation. The line was drawn in the sand, and that's what we've seen by both sides. But right now, they've kind of taken it back, and they've retreated and regrouping. And don't know, it's hard to say if they're gearing up for another confrontation or this has been it for today. But right now, both sides have separated.
Well, we will let you check that out. For now, though, Scott Heidler in Bangkok, thank you very much indeed. There are protests outside a courthouse